Our meeting started, so if you will join me, we're gonna call this meeting to order, and then Mr. Gilbertson, would you please lead our pledge of allegiance?
So I've got two outstanding fifth graders from Barnes Butte. This is Roman Gomez and Riley Fowler. And Roman has been a Barnes Butte Badger since he was in second grade. And his favorite thing to do in his spare time is play with his friends. And he loves math and he likes how hard it starts, but it gets easier as time goes on. Riley loves soccer. She's, her favorite thing, about school is lunch. And they're gonna go ahead and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Okay, Ms. Hanley, please note we have all 5 board members. Okay, 2.0, agenda additions, deletions, revisions, and agenda approval. Somebody have anything?
Madam Chairman, I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to adopt the agenda additions, deletions, or revisions agenda approval, and a second. Do we have further discussion? No. Okay, let's vote. Kevin?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes as well, Ms. Tammy. Thank you. 3.0 recognition. We're going to turn this over to Dr.
Yes, we really went above and beyond on the recognitions this month, so you should all be excited. We have 4, and I'm gonna start off by recognizing, 2 staff members. So I'm gonna have Cindy Porter and Tana Sater, please come on up, and as they come up, let's give them a round. Stand right here while I provide some fast facts. So, Hannah and Cindy, they are our pre-shop coordinators, and they do such an amazing job working behind the scenes. And if you think of back to school, they are the unsung heroes of our back to school work. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of print orders come in from probably August 15th to September 1st. And they go above and beyond to make sure every teacher, every staff member has the materials they need so that learning can happen on day 1. Fast fact. I was gonna make this a game, but last year they produced 2.6 million copies for the school district. So you can only, I didn't do the per day ratio, but as you can imagine, that is a ton of work. They do it with such a smile. Their customer service is the top notch. So we are so grateful for them. Let's give them a round of applause. Any questions from the board?
2.6 million copies.
That's like black and white copies.
That's
Yeah.
only black.
And that's not 11 by 17, and we do so many different things.
Wow.
You've been doing this a while. How long have you been doing this?
I started subbing when Jenna started kindergarten, so I don't know how long ago that was.
Then it's like in college, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 23.
Yeah.
Did you have to print your own award?
Oh.
In-house. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Let's give them a round. Next up, I would like to welcome Katie Ellis. So, as many, let's give Katie Ellis a round. So if anyone has had young kids or has young kids in Prineville, you know that childcare is one of the hardest things to find in our community, and we are so grateful. Katie stepped up with early learning centers of Central Oregon and filled out our RFP to open up a childcare center at the high school. Leland and his team did such an amazing job over the last couple of years renovating the space based off grants from a number of different grants from a number of different organizations. I think, Mr. Cooper, one of your organizations, but this is gonna help our families here in Kirk County as well as our teaching staff. They'll have access to childcare. So it'll help with retention, recruitment, just because we know that's one of the barriers that a lot of families have to employment and sticking around. So we are so grateful for Katie Ellis. Let's give her a round of applause. What questions does the board have for Katie?
How many kiddos can you keep there and what are the age ranges?
We can service 15 kids from the ages of 3 to 5. And we run Monday through Friday, 7:30 AM to 5:30 PM. We have a few holiday breaks that follow kind of the school districts, but as far as in-service days and other days that would be typical holidays, we will still be open for those.
And are you guys full right now?
We're not full, we're starting the enrollment process now. We have an open house scheduled for Thursday from 5 to 7 at the preschool. So I brought some flyers for that I'll leave here for you guys to take a look at, and I can send one digitally to disperse. But yeah, we'd love to get you into the space and see what hard work we've done. My husband and my family have all rallied together to put together so many shelves and place structures and stuff. So big thank you to them. And I do just want to say really quick, Leland, thank you so much for the work you've done with your team on this facility. I've walked into a lot of buildings in Prineville and been like, oh man, I don't think this is gonna work. So walking into that classroom the first time, and it was like the door was glowing gold when it opened, just so it was amazing. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's so
That is amazing.
All right, Katie, everyone's favorite part, we get to take a picture. So. Thanks. Let's give her another round.
All right, Joel, another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the name of this preschool?
It's ELCO, it's Early Learning Centers of Central Oregon. And I did almost forget, I wanted to send a big thanks to Neighbor Impact for providing me the startup grants in order to start this program, along with business classes specifically for childcare, so I could be successful. They've been monumental in getting me started.
Yeah,
Very
thank you so
nice.
much. Yeah, think of our theme, building bridges, is creating these community partnerships. And I think this is such a great example of the school district partnering with other organizations to do something really great for our families and staff. So thank you, everyone involved.
Thank you.
This next one is really fun. Jody Stahancic, come on up. Let's give her a round of applause. So, I'll tell you about Jody. So this was, I want to say last year, I believe it started with Mr. Huffman called me and said, hey, we've got a community member that would like to make a donation. You know, can we figure this out?
Scott.
I think a couple people called me. So we were able, Jody and I were able to connect, and I've never had a call like this where someone says, Joel, Kirk County School District has been great to my family. They've served generations of Crawford Stahancic students for 101 years.
Stahancic Crawford.
Stahancic Crawford. Don't get it mixed up. And I would like to give some money to the district. So I pitched some ideas. Jody did not like any of them. But she had the best idea where she said, why don't we actually ask our staff? So last spring, we put out to staff, what are some ways that staff could create engaging out-of-the-box experiences for our students? And we ended up settling on 9 proposals that will impact about 11, if you count some other donations too. So lots of opportunities ranging from, I think of our esports club, they're getting, I believe, a PlayStation 5, books over at Steen's Pillar. We've got a art project over at Barnes Butte. So at this point, I tried to tally, I think around 1,000 or more students will be impacted through these 11 programs. Let's give her a big round of applause. And not only that, it only gets better. So after we had done this project, I was telling her about building bridges and how we want to bring in partnerships from the community and kind of put the drawbridge of the school district down and welcome people in. And Jody said, you know what, Joel? I will sponsor a lunch for you to invite as many community members as possible to come hear about building partnerships with the district. So this right before school started, Jody was able to sponsor a luncheon where we had about 125 different people come in.
More than that.
It was full. That food part was packed. So Jody has gone above and beyond and is such a distinguished partner for this school district. And it was all just her vision and wanting to give back to the school district. So we are so grateful. Let's give her a round of applause. What questions does the board have for Jody?
Come on, Scott.
I'm waiting politely, but I just wanted to say, Jody, could you talk a little bit more about that length of time your family has been in the school?
Our family has been in Cook County since 1924. So I gave $100 a year. Figured that was a good round number to celebrate this. What that means is that we came as immigrants, Polish immigrants. My aunts and uncles didn't speak English. My father didn't, because they spoke Polish at home. They went to Lower Crooked, or the one over by Zimmerle's, that school over there. And they emerged and they got a part of it. My father was recruited by Slats Guild in 1938 to play basketball for Oregon State. I've got cousins who do all sorts of things. And we would not be where we are without a school district that celebrated us. And my granddaughter, who's 9, now 10, summed it up. She has a speech impediment, and she says, even if we're all different, everybody accepts us in this county. So thank you all for continuing this legacy so that I can continue to be proud of where my roots are from. Thank you. More
I
questions.
wonder also if you could maybe introduce the other half of the Stehansik Crawford partner.
There is John Crawford, my partner in crime for 52 years now. He is a black tornado from Bedford, so we don't talk about that.
Are you gonna take a picture?
Yes.
Let's give her another round of applause.
I mean, now I'm doing business in this town, you know, I need my. Remember, Stehansik House is the bed and breakfast of choice in this town. All right, thank you all. Yeah. You're right. Oh, yeah, I should take that with me.
All right, so our next one, to borrow a term from Miss Swick, I am 11 out of 10 excited. Let's have Anthony Carmack come up and we'll do Dungeons and Dragons first. All right.
Okay.
Let's give him a round of applause. So, Dungeons. So another one of the big district goals is getting every student connected. And our Dungeons and Dragons crew, club started, I want to say about 3 years ago. And has grown to, I believe, is like our top 3 student clubs with just sheer number of students. And Anthony and I were talking, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and he explained to me, it's actually entirely student led. They do elections, they elect their president and vice president. And it's just one of my favorite stories that we have going in the district where we want every kid to have a place and a connection in our district. So Anthony brought a friend. If you want to tell a little bit about the club, how it came to be and where it's at.
Absolutely. It was actually 4 years ago now that we started. A couple students, some friends of yours,
Yes.
approached me and asked, hey, you look like you play Dungeons and Dragons. Which I was like, fair. And they asked, could you, and they said, can you be our like teacher sponsor for this club we want to start? Cause they've been playing at our local library, and then the school year had started and they wanted to continue that. And so I was like, absolutely, let's do this. I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons and then it's kind of grown from there. Zag's our vice president this year. And what grade are you in this year?
I'm a senior this year.
And how long have you been involved with us at Dungeons and
I
Dragons?
was actually, I don't know if you remember this, but during the first few meetings where the club even was like 100%, I was in his old classroom playing in there. So I wasn't part of the original crew who went and bothered him, but I was one of their friends. So they dragged me along and said I got to eat Skittles if I played a nerd game. And I said,
And we range between about 20 to, our peak was with 40 kids, so 20 to 40 kids that are involved with our club. We meet weekly and play for an hour and a half, and it's just honestly a really good time. Kids get to build a lot of connection. You all hang out a lot together, it seems like, outside of club, which is really neat and special.
I've met many of my best friends playing.
Are you playing against each other or are you playing online against the world?
Yeah, so the way that Dungeons and Dragons works, there's a couple different ways to play it, but we are playing at the table, no electronics. Like, I mean, you can use like an iPad to track your character sheet, but you're using your imagination to play a tabletop role-playing game, is what it's classified as. So you're doing a group adventure and you're defeating characters that the dungeon master, the kind of narrator, has kind of presented as a challenge to the party. So it's really engaging. It involves a lot of math and a lot of imagination.
And what's the gender mix for the script?
It's all genders show up. It's like you can pick to be whatever you want in the game. One of my players right now is quite literally a dragon. So,
So you pick your character in
yeah.
your class, and then that's like the play as you play.
gender is about 90% of the time not like a really big thing in our games because unless it's a big plot point, it's like so everyone shows up, everyone can be whoever they want to be.
And for the population that plays, it's
Yeah.
about 50-50. So we have the
100%.
boys and girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's maybe more or less of the other.
Right.
Other questions? Let's give him a round of applause.
Oh, okay, yeah, great, thank you. Awesome.
Another round.
Thank you all.
I'm gonna go talk to my mom.
And then Darcy, do you want to come up? Yeah.
And Erica.
And Erica.
Yeah.
So Anthony's actually a 2-for-1 because this summer, Anthony and Darcy ran our Horses on the Ranch summer program, and that was something I heard the board really wanted to hear about. So when I tried to get Anthony last month, he was in Ireland. So he is back, and I said, "Oh, you're coming, let's hear about Horses on the Ranch." So
Yeah.
Anthony, and then he brought Erica, who
Yes.
was one of the students, so you could get her perspective. So Darcy, if you want to just explain the program real quick, and
Yeah.
the board can ask questions.
Absolutely. So, Miss Darcy and I, work together weekly. Miss Darcy runs Horses on the Ranch and my workforce program, which is a special education behavior program. We do equine therapy there once a week. So our students are going there weekly. But then because of some grant money, we got our heads together and Miss Darcy suggested, hey, what if we did a summer program? And this is our second year. And it's been awesome. Erica was one of the students that got to experience it this year. Do you want to share what kind of things did we do over the summer?
We learned about plants and the different, like what it does and how it can help you. We made like it's like a rub out like a beeswax Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I literally use it every day for my legs. It's actually cleared my face up a lot. And of course, we, pet the horses, since they're retired, so it's not like, right, but we can like move them, and pet them, and talk to them. They don't tell secrets, no, they don't tell secrets. Oh, and there's like a little creek where we could like draw and look at rocks. Just kind of look how they grew, and we made stress toy out of yarn and,
For the
The
felting.
felting.
yeah, I can't.
Yep, no, yeah, that's perfect, thank you. And so the objective here is developing social emotional skills through nature-based experience. And so, using Castle framework kind of combined with the equine therapy aspect, Mr. Darcy, do you want to speak to that for a moment? Like
Sure,
what
yeah.
Horses on the Ranch vision and you guys' purpose?
Yeah, so, I mean, basically, in a nutshell, we just hold the space, like, and the horses are there, and young people interact with them, they're really good at, like, what we know just from the research is just being in the space with horses, is it regulates your heart rate and your breathing rate. And so even without having to do anything, for our young people, just having a chance to just be is really important. And so we kind of when we first started, we had like all of these activities we wanted to do, but we learned pretty quickly. And it's a real core of our program that we try to be really responsive to what our people need. And we learned really quickly that our kids just needed time to just be,
Yeah.
just hang out with the horses or like skip rocks in the creek or
Yeah.
just hang out together or have some one-on-one time with the teacher if they need. So it's become just kind of its own thing. And so every week looks a little bit different, but we're out at Wind Down Ranch, which is a really beautiful place to just ground and be and
Yeah.
learn to be with each other and work on all the castle skills and
We had 8 students there today, so it was
Yeah, that's
amazing.
great.
We were out there every Monday. so.
yeah.
When I make a comment, this girl, I would have had to have drug her out of my truck. For her to come in here. She would never have done this. I'm raising her now after her mom died and that place, she's done so well with that place. She's come out of her shell. Yeah, she would never have stood there even. She'd have been. So I appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anthony, is 8 students the average then, or is that?
Yeah, so 8's the max, the cap permanent workforce
Okay.
program. During the summer program, we usually run up to 10 to 12, depending on all the things.
Right.
Transportation, other things, so.
So for any one of the three of you, equine therapy is well established, it's a great idea, it really helps. I never heard of cow therapy or pig therapy. What is it about horses that makes this therapeutic thing work? Why?
That's probably that's a Darcy question.
Talked a long time about that. Basically, they're a prey animal. And they're probably on the wilder edge of all of our domesticated animals. And just their physical response. So like they're super aware. So our kids with anxiety can relate to that hypervigilance. And so they learn to pick up a lot of social cues. We have young people that are struggling with social cues and we have this really big guy that was injured as a baby and so thinks he's a lap dog, but he's like giant. And so learning to say no, get out of my space to that guy. If you can do that, it'll translate for young people that have a hard time saying no. And our horses don't hold a grudge. You can say no and they don't get mad at you, but they're still your friend.
Yeah.
And so that's really good practice, because if you can do that with those guys, then you can do that with people as well. There's a lot of confidence building. Sometimes we'll do like obstacle courses. And they can pick a horse friend to go with or a couple of people and a horse friend to go through. And so just being able to like conquer your obstacles in life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million different things, but really the work in our model is different. There's a lot of different equine therapies, but we do EGALA, which is the equine assisted growth and learning. So all of our work is on the ground. Most of the time horses are free to just like leave if they want to. So if things get too intense, they can go, or they can like come into your bubble. And it's always different every day. I mean, they can be a metaphor. They can tell your story. It's really hard, especially for trauma survivors, to talk about what they've been through. But they can point out things that are happening out there that relate, and it's a lot easier to talk about out there. Most of our work is one-on-one individual clients. It's just like counseling, but our office is out in the woods with the deer and the wind and the rain and all the things, and fancy new building that, our CTE kids, our advanced construction kids built us a little addition, so we have a classroom that we're working on.
It's amazing.
So we can get inside and, yeah. We have, one of our therapists is a certified art therapist, so we can do art like from a therapeutic lens. Yeah, I mean, I can talk for hours, but anyway, the core of the question is just the nature of the horse and being a prey animal and being super like aware and sensitive.
Very much.
It's a force, other.
I know, like, I think I'm just gonna have to come out, but
Yeah, I mean,
I just, I wanna say it took so much courage for you to come here, and I'm really moved and just inspired by you showing up today, so thank you for doing that.
You gotta take a picture.
Let's do it.
Do the certificate?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
Let's scoot in just a little bit. Yeah.
All right, let's give him a round of applause.
So one last thought for you, Nancy.
Yeah.
Horses are expensive, right?
oh my
But
God.
you should
I'm
go
told
to
they are.
Jody's to Hansie.
Is Horses on the Ranch, is that a nonprofit?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Yeah, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. Yeah.
Darcy wants some flyers too, think.
Oh, she did, okay,
Yeah.
perfect,
Yeah,
okay. Thank you for that.
yeah, yeah.
And that is it for our recognitions for this evening.
That is amazing.
Fun.
I had a good, maybe I had a good line. There you go. Good meeting, right?
Good meeting, okay. We're gonna, yes. We're gonna end that on- I love that, that's very cool. Okay, thank you, Dr. Hawk. Always fun. Okay, moving to business. 4.0, approval of the consent agenda.
Chairman, move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda and a second. Do we have further discussion? Okay, we'll start with Scott,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yes.
And yes as well, Miss Tammy, thank you very much. Okay, finance report, moving on to Miss Anna. All you.
So the finance report, as I've been promising for a couple of months, looks different than normal. I've given you an annual report. It's got information that doesn't really change from month to month. So you don't need to see this every month, but it's good for you to see once in a while, just because some of this stuff can come up throughout the year in other ways. And so it's good for you to just have that knowledge of what these things mean, what they look like. Sometimes these graphs are just good pictures to have in your head. So I just wanted to go through a few of these things. The first page has a graph with all of our debt. And we only have two kinds of debt. One of them is the general obligation bonds, that's that long blue line, and that's the one that goes through 2038. And then the other one is two PERS bonds, those both will end in 2028. And those come out of the general fund. When those PERS bonds end, we also lose the PERS savings that go along with it. So, that's just kind of a mix that, and when I explain PERS to you, I have a whole, presentation about PERS bonds and the complexity of that, so, I won't get into that too much tonight. But really, for an organization of this size to have this little debt is pretty awesome. I mean, you do look at debt as an instrument, a tool to do things, but you've been able to do things without going terribly into debt, so we have had a lot of other loans in the past that we were able to get those all paid off and taken care of. On the next page, there's a graph there that just shows the projected bond tax rate, and this is the rate per thousand. So this is outside the general fund. This is additional taxes that the taxpayers have approved through a vote. And right now it's about 70 cents, and it'll eventually just go down. The actual taxes assessed will go up over time, but as it spreads across taxpayers, and the tax base goes up, the per thousand amount goes down over time. The next graph is the general fund balance. This is the ending fund balance in the general fund. I just want you to see, sometimes during budget, I'll show you that we're budgeting for an ending fund balance of $1.5 million. And when your budget's 40 million, 1.5 million might seem like a small ending fund balance, but our actual ending fund balance hasn't been coming in at that number. It's been higher. And so, and that's just because you generally have to budget to spend a little bit more than you think you might. For example, you can't budget exactly what you think you're gonna spend on electricity because you don't know what the rates for electricity are gonna do. So, and they change in the middle of our fiscal year. So, generally, we save a little bit of money here and there, and then we have an ending fund balance that's better than what. The next whole page and the page after that just has to do with some different funding, state school fund information and other types of funding. And then the last thing I want to point out on the last page, there's the graph that says federal forest fees, and it's got a purple line there. And federal forest fees used to be years ago, used to be kind of a significant amount of money. If you look at that 800,000 and consider the fact that that was in 2008. That was a lot of money in 2008. It would be a lot of money today, and it's just gradually gone down. And right now you'll see for 24-25, it's near zero. We received very little federal forest fees, but they were approved. They just didn't arrive. So I think they should show up this in 25-26, but I don't know what the amount will be. So this is just kind of like a full box of information. Did anybody have any questions about it?
I don't have a question, but I have an observation, which if you look at that general fund balance history where she has the pretty orange line, it's always above the blue line going back to 2012-13. You could go back 3 years, that's pre-Anna. And you would see that orange line fall under that blue line. We were in some serious trouble at one point, and we have not been in trouble since Anna came along. And I want to acknowledge that, and I don't know why you don't take credit by making that graph 3 years longer. You do deserve recognition for that. We've never had that problem since then.
Should I move on to 5.2?
Yeah, did anybody have any questions?
No.
Yes.
Okay, 5.2 is just, it's something I've never done before. It's a report that just explains everything I could think of related to special education funding. And it's just for information. I'm not presenting this in any kind of a, precursor to trying to make a change on something, or it really what happened is during the work session, there were a lot of things that came up that made me realize that it would be really helpful just to help educate the board about special education. And there are about four additional topics that I thought I would do reports similar to this as the year goes on. If you carefully read through this and think through it, you'll understand special education funding probably better than most board members in the state of Oregon. Just because I think I put everything in here, but just let me know if you read through it and you have any questions or if something doesn't make sense. But there are a couple of highlights I wanted to make sure that you know. You probably have heard 11% cap or additional sped weight, those kinds of things. And that's what this report shows you what that looks like. And we don't receive the additional sped. There's an additional weighting, which is basically additional money that you get for special education or students on an IEP. And we don't receive 100% funding for every student that's on IEP, but after all of this calculation goes in, last year we will have received that extra weight for about 89% of the students on an IEP. If you take that amount of money, if you take that extra weighting and you multiply it by the amount of money that we receive per student. That's about $3.9 million that we receive because we have students on IEPs. And that's a lot of money, $3.9 million. And ideally, a district would take that money and spend it on special education services, and sometimes that does come up. How do you spend that money? And so I've done this analysis before for people. And last year, our district actually spent over $5.4 million out of the general fund on special education services. So we spent that 3.9 million plus a lot more. Then we also have other special education funding that or funds that can be used for special education. We have funds that have to be used for special education and funds that can be used for special education. Those are all on the second page. And then the last thing I want to point out is there's a little screenshot at the bottom of the second page. This comes out of the normal monthly board report. And it's on I think it's the last page of my finance report, and there's a column over to the right that shows you the percentage of sped students that we have at that point in the month or on that day. So, and then it'll show you by school, unless the school is too small, because you don't want to identify any students accidentally. So it's important to put resources towards special education. I just want everyone to know that we can't be accused of underspending. Underspending or overspending is a relative term. It's subjective, based on somebody's value system, but if you say you spend more than you receive on a certain thing, probably shouldn't be accused of underspending.
Can you maybe mention, because it's important to know, how maintenance of effort works?
What was your question?
Yeah, didn't we
And
have?
how does maintenance of effort work? It's an important concept in special ed and budgeting that every board member needs to understand.
It's a good idea. Because we receive federal funds, specifically IDEA funds for SPED, there's a requirement that your general fund spending on special education cannot be decreased year over year. So if you spent $5.4 million on special education last year, you can't spend $5.3 million or anything less than $5.4 million any year after that. You can never go down unless you have a number of students on an IEP so you can either meet your MOE, your maintenance of effort requirement, by the actual dollar amount or the per student amount. So once you've reached a certain level of funding, either by a per dollar amount or a per student amount, you can never go backwards.
Unless for some reason your student population of sped decreased.
Yeah. And there are some really kind of complicated exceptions, like let's say you were a really small district and you had one special ed teacher and they were at the top of the scale. And they retired, and then you hired a new special ed teacher and they were at the bottom of the scale. Then you could say you would have to explain how you spent less money, but you continued the same services.
Gotcha.
We're large enough that hasn't really happened.
That becomes an issue when you are in a budget cutting mode. Because obviously you want to take care of your special education population, and obviously more resources are needed for a kid that's struggling a little more. But if you're shrinking the overall budget, then you have to keep the maintenance of effort. That means that you're increasing the percentage of your budget, and then you're gonna live with that forever, even when things get better. So it always makes for a tough moral choice about what to do in budget.
Thank you for that, because it is good to know.
Building off what Mr. Cooper mentioned earlier, we've asked Anna, as we have new board members, new staff, to, drop in little informational nuggets of school finance, because it's very complex. And Anna truly does such an amazing job making really complex things really digestible and understandable. So we are so grateful for Anna and the work that she does. And she will continue her informational series with little nuggets of school finance information, probably every other month or so.
So,
Much appreciated.
so with the federal Department of Education disappearing, who's monitoring maintenance of effort?
ODE does that, yeah, and it's always been ODE. That wasn't as hard of a question as I thought it was. but-
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Thank you for that, Anna. 5.3.
Okay, 5.3, this is bring this to the board because policy requires that purchases over 150,000 be approved by board. I was on vacation and it was a real vacation without a laptop. I had prepared my staff to approve POs in my absence, but it's not something they do all the time, and so there was a mistake that happened. A purchase of $155,000 got through the PO process without board approval. It was for student Chromebooks. It was something that was within budget. Chromebooks aren't, an unusual purchase for us. We have to buy to replace Chromebooks. So it wasn't anything really wild. But I've implemented 2 new controls so that we can reduce the chance of this recurring if I take a vacation again without a laptop.
I know.
So, and I do want to note that even though the prevention measures that I had in place all these years, failed when I went on vacation, there was still a detection that was successful and brought it to my attention. And so I'm actually bringing this to the board after the fact for board approval to formalize the purchase.
Madam Chairman, I move to retroactively approve the purchase of student Chromebook devices in the amount of $155,000. Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to retroactively approve the purchase of the student Chromebook devices in the amount of 155,000. And we have a second. Do we have further discussion? Okay, Kevin,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Scott,
Guys.
and yes as well. Thank you, Anna. Appreciate that.
And to keep going on vacation.
Right, yes.
Do not bring your laptop.
Thank you for your grace.
Life or death.
Okay. Back to Dr. Hoff.
Yeah, 6.1, back to school district update. So I figured with, some new board members, I wanted to start and give a snapshot of who our staff are, who our students are, and then our key initiatives as we're starting off, our school year. So I believe that's the Barnes Butte Badger named, is it Barney?
Barney, yeah.
Barney the Badger, he's welcoming kids to Barnes Butte. We had our first day of kindergarten today. So let's start with, who are our staff in 4 charts, and credit to Joe Vieira for pulling this information for me. So how many staff do we have? So 29 administrators, 199 classified. Those are our bus drivers, our food attendants. We've got 45 coaches, 10 confidential, who we recognized, I want to say at our last meeting. 215 licensed staff this year. So those are our teachers and counselors. That other column, 58, those are our classified subs. When Mr. Vieira pulled this report, we had 3 students that are employed by the school district, and that was this summer. We have them work at our summer blast, so that's kind of a cool experience for them. And then 1 licensed temp. This is data that past boards and district office people have asked for, and Joe was able to pull this off. So where do our staff live? 78% of our staff live right here in Prineville. 6% in Powell Butte, 8 in Redmond, some in Bend, Culver, and then a few one-offs. But it's really cool to think of our staff that they really are, this is our community, and about 80% of our staff coming from, or I guess 84% of staff coming from Cook County. The next 2 are, I feel, just interesting. How long have our staff been with our district? Our admin team, believe it or not, win the competition here on average 9.3 years. So we're the longest tenured, followed by our coaches, our licensed staff, average of 8 years, and then classified down to 6. So our admin team does stick around here, which is good to see. And then I got
include your trader time in Madras.
that hurt the average. Maybe a little. Thanks for bringing that up, Mr.
Was going too well, Joel.
Right? We're not even into the cell phone policy here. And then this one I feel also is interesting is what's the average age of our staff group? So, Our classified staff, their subs, they're averaging around 52 years old, as well as our confidential staff. Our teachers, our licensed staff, 42. Someone asked, man, all your teachers look so young. 42 is our average age, so we're not doing bad. And then our administrative team, we're averaging out at 47 and classified 48. So nothing else, just an interesting thing to think about. Let's jump over to our student profile, and we'll do them in 3 charts. So where do our students go to school? Kirk County High, we're looking at 856. And I had to put this asterisk down here. When you're pulling enrollment data out of our student information system, it changes hourly as kids move in, move out, move all around. So this is at one point in time. So the most students, 856, are going to the high school, then around 695 at the middle school. Crooked River around 530, then Barnes Butte at 512, Steens Pillar 256, Powell Butte 203, and Grizzly Mountain only 175, and then right around 100 at Pioneer. So this next one's also interesting. It shows where our pinch points and our cohorts are. You can see our 6th grade group, they're at 305 6th graders. Now, not all of those go to the middle school, they're spread out, but you can see how these bubbles exist in cohorts. 305, and then what's the demographic composition of our student population? So around 75-76% Caucasian, Hispanic right around 20%, and then 2 or more around 8 to 10%. So you can see how our students look. So that was our staff snapshot, our student snapshot, and now kind of the key things we're working on. One of the goals that the board and I've talked a lot about is just getting everyone rowing in the same direction. So this slide is not in your packet because I wanted to link it. So what you'll see here is a new website, and I have to give Bree Van Rokel and Tanya Howard. So just like the board set goals for academic excellence, building bridges, and connected students, we then worked with each school building, and they set their goals based off your goals. And then one of the things that Bree emphasized was making your goals visible increases the likelihood that you actually achieve them. So we wanted to put our school improvement plans on goals on our website so that anyone in the world could see. So if you scroll down, you have all the school improvement plans for every school. We'll choose the high school for an example. So this first page just talks about what they're currently doing around our visions and our values. And then this probably looks familiar. We spent time in the yellow, blue, and green boxes. So each building has set goals that are aligned with yours. You can see here the alignment to board goals. This one, for example, all sophomores take the ASVAB to inform academic progress and growth. So you can go ahead on your spare fun time to dig around the district webpage, but you'll see each school has set goals that align with yours, and Ms. Van Rokel went ahead and talked about which exact goal they align with. So these are all on our website, and it gets back to our mission of, again, getting everyone rowing in the same direction, because we believe that's when we can accomplish something.
Like standardized communication.
Like standardized communication, which is coming up. The next slide, equipping staff with the skills and tools. You see, I've got our Better Never Quits icon as well as our academic excellence. Mr. Cooper, you'd be proud. This is our middle school and high school team sitting down, working on vertical alignment and planning. So we're really working on getting the right professional development targeted to our staff. I'll click this one real quick. This is for you, Chair Knight. We have tripled the amount of trainings available to our classified staff. That's one I feel staff group that got overlooked. So we have created all these opportunities, and they're optional, but they're all paid, where staff can, classified staff can come and get additional training on mainly behavior and literacy are our 2 key things that hearing from them is what they needed. So.
And may I just say, that's huge. And anybody who's listening, if you're classified, that is an amazing opportunity to take and get, because I'm not gonna say I didn't have it, but it wasn't readily available.
Exactly.
And so any trainings that you can take, just please take them, because it's such a world of difference
Exactly.
to have more tools in your, you know, your tool belt when you're in the trenches.
100%.
So
So,
thank you for doing that.
yeah, and big shout out to, say Amber McLeod and Grant, who have really
Yeah.
spearheaded out those classified trainings.
Much appreciated.
And don't forget about, standardizing communication. This slide is in your packet. As Eric troubleshoots this, so standardizing communication, this is all around our Building Bridges initiative. I think I can get this back here real quick. So, got some music going. Okay, we're back. So, we set just consistent minimums with our, admin team on, every week. And this is coming out of our staff survey, staff and family survey, about the need for more communications. So weekly, principals send a note to families and staff with kind of key dates, key information, as well as, no less than 2 social media posts per school, per week. So that's another weekly routine. And this gets back to, we have to be so intentional about telling the positive stories of our school. So that way parents know all the great things going on and that vacuum isn't filled with negativity. So telling the story of our schools is something we're really focused on. Monthly, every school is doing a school newsletter. You'll see a district, newsletter that actually got sent out to all families, last week. And then the Central Oregonian, said, hey, you can write a column every month. So we've got a column in the, Central Oregonian, once a month. So that goes out as well. I'll make sure to forward it to the board.
That's very cool.
And then finally, accessing student information. This is another thing off our family survey we want to be really responsive with is giving parents information about their students' academic progress. So we're standardizing the student data that we share with families at conferences. So that'll go across all elementary schools around the information on math and reading. And then also we're opening up the grade book. That has only happened in the past to middle school and high school, but we're actually starting to bleed that down to 5th grade so that they, 5th grade parents can also access a live view into their students' grade book so they can support it. So.
And that gets them in the habit of, you know,
Exactly.
starting in middle school and then on through.
Exactly.
How's that reflected for the 5th grade when they don't have the same letter grade as middle and high school?
Yeah, so it'll just be the raw grade book. So it won't be A through F. It'll just show what's turned in and what's not turned in.
Okay.
Troubleshooting. We had a very smooth first week of school, but it wasn't without some issues to troubleshoot. First and foremost, my friend Nick Gilbertson's here, that Combs Flat extension has definitely adjusted the traffic pattern around Barnes Butte at about 7:15. So we've talked with Prineville Police, talked with the city and trying a couple different things, but still navigating that because that's, we've heard from parents that it's quite a drop off time with the traffic flow. High temps, I'm thinking Crooked River in middle school mostly, classes with over 80 degrees. So we've piloted a couple different ways to cool down the class. Leland's looking at a more sustainable solution. But man, those teachers, and it just happens to be the grades where students might have the strongest smells. So it's kind of 5th grade and middle school. So we're trying a little bit of everything to get the temperature reasonable. And then we're also working on realigning our counselor workload to make sure that meets the American School Counselors Association guidelines. So we have a group starting on that, I want to say next week. We did that in 2020 with the ODE and the ASCA guidelines. And in talking with counselors, it's time for another refresh on that. So we're troubleshooting that as well. Cowboys didn't quite pull it off on Friday night, but it's going to be a great year. We're looking forward to a lot of great things. Any questions on the back to school report?
It makes my heart so happy to see all this alignment between goals and standardization, communication. So I mean, well done, everyone. I can't imagine just how much heavy lifting and work. I mean, we did our workshop not that long ago.
No,
So for you guys to have done all that work
yes,
since then is
amazing.
really impressive.
Great team and they're ready to work. So it makes it not easy, but fun.
When I look at your charts in there for populations in schools and grade level distribution, it sure looks like there's a surge of population headed toward the high school. My guess is we have not yet felt the full impact of those new apartment buildings that are going up that
Yes.
will fill and come in. And that makes me think that the conversation we had at the retreat about slowing down the early graduation rate may be something we want to reconsider. I'm not sure we can house it. Because that's one way to move them out. So can we maybe talk about?
That. Move them out, like,
Qualifying.
not a factory, these are people.
Can we talk about maybe in October, get a full-on enrollment projections analysis?
Yep.
How many apartments are being built there? What's the final count? How many?
Different places.
Between the two,
Oh,
it's 700.
okay, I thought you meant just the one that's starting, I was like, oh, okay.
The one in Ochoco lumber and the one on
Yep.
Madras Highway.
We, believe it or not, we have an enrollment report already scheduled for October and an early graduation report on the October agenda. So we'll tackle both those things, out in Paulina.
Also, I'm hearing rumors about another major data center build. Which would bring a bunch of construction workers in with families, which will further stress the system. Can you talk to the city and see what's we're looking at there? Maybe without.
Now would be a time to build an RV park. I'm just saying,
What part?
an RV park.
The numbers are kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
That school, that high school, when you get it over 950, it's starting to feel really crowded.
I think capacity is high. Capacity, I want to say, don't quote me, it's around 1,100, but that's like, you can't move through the hall.
And that's double lunching.
Looking at you,
Yeah,
wait, you're
Everybody,
shaking
there's
their
not
head.
enough parking and it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
We've been there once before that I remember.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
So we will, bring you back some good information in October on that. Any other questions?
Don't miss the line, people.
I put it out down.
All right.
Joel for that. 6.2.
Good evening, guys. Okay, so the plan is to just give you some updates on some of the special ed improvements that we're working on for this year. Based on some of the goals that you guys set. So if we switch to the next one, obviously board goal 1.15, conduct a comprehensive evaluation of the SPED program to ensure students and staff have the necessary training tools and supports. And then we also have implement clear SPED protocols and systems to address student behaviors paired with comprehensive staff input, training, and support. So our goal, of course, is to make sure that both certified and classified SPED staff are heard, supported, valued, properly trained, and equipped with clear protocols and systems to manage extreme student behavior. So based on data from our staff and the things that I've heard from our special education staff, they needed more support around extreme behaviors. And so I took the summer to make sure that I could go out and find resources and information about how we could come up with that. And so basically what I did is I created a incident response protocol, and it starts off with, because I was thinking, how can this be helpful for district administration, school administrators, our certified teachers, and our instructional assistants. And so I wanted to create a protocol that would be helpful for all groups. And so what could be helpful to be able to identify student triggers, preventative responses, behavior intervention plans and how we update that, using de-escalation strategies, as well as, how to identify unsafe behaviors, making sure that staff and students are safe, as well as, a student that's in crisis. And so going through the process with strategies and tips to be able to have our staff be successful in the moment. And so with that, I went around, and I'll get to the training piece, but I created these documents as well as kind of a checklist, because training on a protocol, it's a long document, as well as something that is tangible and that can be useful in the moment. And so that was really important too. So I created something that it could be checklist because in the moment, you know, a 10-page document might not be very helpful versus a 1 or a 2-pager, right? And so then on top of that, you know, we use this information, you know, behavior is an expression. And so we use this information to be able to create plans of support for our students. And so I created another, it's called the Comprehensive Challenging Behavior Support Protocol, quite a mouthful. But the goal is to be able to collect that information and work as a team with our psychologists, our behavior specialists, our teachers, our instructional assistants, to be able to create plans of support for our special education students that have those behavior needs. And so I created an awesome little flow chart so that way they could have that laminated and accessible in their classrooms, as well as just information and training on where do we find this information. You know, restraint and seclusion, we try not to do those things, but if necessary, being able to have that information so that way we can use it, fill it out, and then turn it in so that way our team can use it to be able to support behavior needs. And then, of course, you know, God forbid somebody has an accident, where do we fill that out? So that way our safety committee gets that information. So moving on, some of the trainings around the protocols that we created are, you know, I worked with all of our administrators to make sure that they understood what their role was in the protocol before school. So that way they would know how to support our teachers and our instructional assistants. I had a training for optional paid for instructional assistants that wanted to come and receive that training. And the goal would be you know, to provide another one. So giving them multiple opportunities to be able to receive the training, but I will be meeting with them individually, fall, winter, and spring. And so I can continue to relay information when I meet with them. So protocol trainings for special education teachers before school started. I wanted to make sure that our staff, instructional assistants and teachers had that information. Also, we provide CPI training, which is the state approves, and it's crisis prevention training. And we do 4-year, and the reason why is sometimes we get staff that join us throughout the year. And so it's important that our staff have these skills to be able to deal with a crisis situation. And then Erin Taylor, I'm sure you've heard of her. Of course, she's being able to, and Joel talked about this 3 times to be able to have optional paid for our certified and classified staff to be able to receive that. She'll also be in our buildings as well, providing some training. Okay, so then moving forward, our SPED staff input system. So like, what am I doing to support? Well, administration, special education educators receive training on protocols. We did that. Individual monthly meetings with our administrations to discuss how are they working, how the protocol is working, as well as what are the needs around student support. So the supports that we do now, what can we do to continue to support and increase that? I also am doing individual monthly meetings with our special education educators around protocol supports needs. And then, as I said, fall, winter, spring, I'll be meeting with our instructional assistants. And so that'll be within their working day where I bring a substitute in. So that way buildings aren't going to feel the pinch when they get removed to meet with me to address any of their concerns and supports. And then all special education staff have access to protocols and special education documents. So I shared it to them electronically. So that way they'd have those at those disposal, as well as possible updates on protocols as I get input from our staff. So I also am over 504s, and so that's another support for our kiddos that need accommodations and not specially designed instruction. And so we get new staff that come in, and so it's important for us to be able to be all on the same page, especially as kids transition from the elementary to the middle and then the middle to the high. And so making sure that we're using the same process is really important, so that way our families and our staff are all on the same page. And so I created protocols for our 504 coordinators at each building, and we trained on that. Same deal. It's nice to have a reference checklist as well as a protocol for all staff. We provided, building level coordination training for all of our coordinators. And then also we call it Synergy 504 training, but basically it supports our staff with the online documents through Synergy. So that way they understand how to fill it out. And then from there forth, we continue, Linda Hutchins and I provide support around 504s for all of our coordinators and our building administrators that need support throughout the school year. So what's next? Well, next steps. It's really important that we stay to what we said and meet monthly with our staff, admin, special ed, around the protocols, what's working, what's not working, staff needs, and possible trainings that need to be taken place and available in the future. As well as step 2, we need to make sure that I'm listening and admin are listening to staff and use feedback to make adjustments to protocol supports, resources, and share with Superintendent Joel. And then 3, retrain staff if we make updates. And so it's important for us to be able to get good feedback from our staff. So that way we make sure that these, they're only as good as people, our protocols are only as good as the people that use them. And so we got to make sure that our people have good documents that are usable. And so by using them, you're going to have a better understanding. And then we'll make sure that we make adjustments that are appropriate for our community and our staff. So making adjustments, taking feedback, and making sure that our staff receive training updates as changes occur. And so those are some of the things that we're doing and kind of the next steps as we move forward.
Grant, I would just like to say, this was a very heavy load. I understand that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Probably more than most. And I really hope that the staff will come forward if there is an issue and feel confident enough to talk to you about that.
Mhm.
And then if it is an issue, to bring it to Dr. Hoff. But I know that a lot of this really would have changed outcomes years ago.
Sure.
In different ways. So
Yeah.
I, for one, am very excited. I know this was a load upon you, so
I just
appreciate you.
I saw the relief on staff's faces when I was able to present it because it gave them structure and a
Yes,
plan moving forward with a
absolutely.
situation that's not enjoyable.
Right, yes, and as long as they know that they have some sort of support and that they have these steps in place and this is how things are going to go, I think I'm excited for them. So
Great.
thank you
You
again.
are welcome. Absolutely.
Grant, I appreciate you mentioning the 504s, because I think that load is growing and maybe we're not seeing that.
Correct.
I think our numbers right now are about 13% of our students are on IEP. What percentage of our students are on 504?
Ooh, I'll have to get that for you. I'm not
I
sure.
really
Good
like that.
question. Yeah, that's a great.
And then if you can,
You're right about growth though in 504s.
everybody's bounded.
Right.
And can you map the overlap between IEP and 504?
Meaning kids that have both.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my concern there is you have to staff 504, even though
Yeah.
nobody remembers that.
Right.
And so when you add the IEP and you have the 504, and it's the exact same size of staff.
Right.
Trying to run both those programs, I think at some point we have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, I agree. Mhm. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
I have 3.
Yeah.
First of all, I am deeply impressed and, I think this is one of the best presentations I've seen since coming on the board and, the work behind it is tremendous. So thank you for that. And I'm not back, so you're fine. So I know when we had talked about the surveys that, this was a pain point with families as well. And so, maybe not for tonight, I'd like to just understand going forward, like, as we're talking about building bridges, like how we can be really intentional about bringing families in to all this amazing work as well, and kind of those communication points. So that's number 1. 2, kind of similar to what Anna was mentioning about, like the triggers she has within her auditing system or like her expenditure system. Like, I wonder if there's anything within our 504 plan or like system, and this is obviously not my relevant expertise, but that triggers that we might be coming up against like a timeline or deadline. Like just to say like, hey, we're gonna fall out of complaint, like we haven't contacted this parent, or is there some?
Yeah, so
something
there
that-
actually is, and it's in Synergy, and there is a timeline, just like in an IEP.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, you kind of talked about this was just around, and maybe this is just our next survey cycle, just like I'm assuming that staff is like really relieved, and I've heard anecdotal stories that are phenomenal and makes my heart so happy, but I think just making sure that we just kind of triangulate that perspective, both with the staff and families, and just would be super great.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, I'm so impressed and big respect for the work they've done.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. We couldn't have done it without our staff. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. Oh, I'm got one more.
Say, I think you're up next still, 6.3 speech language pathologist.
So we sadly lost one of our speech language pathologists about a week before staff came back. And so I was just not able to fill in that amount of time, because we had a job posted last year that I couldn't fill either. So that definitely hurt, but we've gone through agencies, Anna and I, and we've actually found a person that's interested in working for an agency, but being here in person. But since it's over $150,000, because we have a half-time online SLP, and then this new person to be able to fill our load of students that have speech services. And so because of that, it's over $150,000, and I have to ask for approval.
Is this different than the last?
That was a psychologist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those specialist positions are hard because the demand and the supply are not equal, and there's not enough programs in the Northwest to meet the demand that school districts have, and they're gobbling them up in private practice. I mean, it's hard.
Is that where, oh, okay.
Yep. And so if they go to private practice, we can't hold them. So, yeah.
And that seems to be the trend of where,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Madam Chairman, I move to approve the expenditure for 1.5 speech language pathologists in excess of $150,000.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to approve the expenditure for 1.5 SLPs in the excess of 150,000, and we have a second. Do we have further discussion? Okay, let's vote. Scott,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and, oh, yes, as well. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Okay, we are moving on to Leland.
Right.
Sir.
Hello. So I'm going to talk about summer projects that we have completed or nearly completed so far this summer. So one of the things to keep in mind when we do summer projects is I'm starting next year's summer projects right now. So as we start to close things out, I'm seeing what the other needs are, and we're starting those already. So I'm gonna go, this list that I have is a lot bigger than what I put on the cover sheet. So if you have questions about any of these projects or anything, just let me know and we'll talk about them at that point. We did have a lot of things break this summer. So we did a lot of reactive maintenance. So it wasn't just all preventive maintenance or smaller construction projects that we completed. So one of the things that we had to do is we had to tear down all the steam boilers this year and do internal inspections. That's a 2-year, every 2 years we have to do that. That came up this year, so we had to do those. In the course of that, we found one of the middle school boilers that we will be completely replacing all the tubes in within the next couple weeks. So they're shot. So we want to get that done before heating season. So we have all 3 of those boilers online. We did a lot of parking lot, curb painting, and crack sealing. We didn't do all the schools, but we did the ones where I saw the need. That's where we did them. It's like if I felt like I could get another year's worth out of the lines, then we would leave it if it's safe. We also invested in our own paint striper, so if something comes up and we have to paint them, we can do small work all on our own. We did a lot of maintenance on the heat pumps that we have in the district. So Pioneer High School has a lot of heat pumps in it. We maintained all those. Powell Butte has a bunch of heat pumps. We did all the package units that's on all the modular portable buildings. We did all the summer maintenance on those. We did a lot of lift station maintenance. So every year, every summer we work on those. We had to completely rebuild 2 of them. We had to rebuild the one at the middle school and replace both of those pumps. And also at transportation, we had to completely redo both of those lift stations. We did bleacher inspections on the interior bleachers and maintained those. Anything that we found wrong with them, we fixed that. We put a new furnace in the stadium. We partnered with IT department and we did some more public address upgrades. So hopefully, I think we've got everything in the entire district right now, so you can hear everything. Last year, we actually asked all the schools, where can you not hear? And that was what was put into the scope of work, so we made sure that we were getting everything covered. We did some perimeter security upgrades, which is mostly fencing stuff on the exterior areas, so we made sure that things were like completely enclosed. There was a fence at Barnes Butte, we put slats in it on that far north end, because there's a lot of traffic back there on that road, so we fixed that so that people can't see into that playground. Paulina, we put a new deck on the Teach Reach. We built an SRO office in a small storage room over at Crooked River. We are almost done with a roof replacement on one of the portable buildings in Paulina. We did a full remodel on one of the portable buildings at Powell Butte Community Charter School. We pulled 15 of the steam pumps out of the buildings, so condensation pumps, and then the pumps that pump the steam as well. We pulled 15 of those out, which I think was all that we have in the district. We had all those rebuilt this summer, and we've still got a couple of them we got to install, but those will be ready to go before heating season. The biggest project is the security glass upgrades that we made this summer. So all of our vestibules in the school, plus some other key areas, all now have ballistic film in there. So what that means is if an active shooter comes into one of the schools, they cannot break that glass. They can shoot through that glass, but they can't, the glass won't shatter. So it keeps the glass intact until law enforcement can get there. So that was one of the biggest projects we did this summer. There's still a couple of places where we have to put what they call panic glass in the office windows. So all the sliding windows are gonna go away and they'll all have solid glass with a PA speaker in the middle of the glass.
Did you do that at Powell Butte also?
No, I'm working. So originally at Powell Butte, we looked at building a vestibule inside the building. And because of ADA, one of the architects said, no, you can't do it. So I've been talking to Meredith and we were talking about making one outside. And I'm almost like, that's gonna be so ugly. So I got a different architect and we went and looked at it and found another way to get around not to get around the ADA, but to make it ADA accessible. It's just not through the front entryway. So if we do that, we should be able to actually build one right there inside the doorway of the school. So that architect is getting me a bid for that, for their phase of that work. And then we'll look at actually building that up too. When we build that, we'll put ballistic film in everything we do in vestibules from now on. We did some repairs on the cooling tower at the high school. We had some of those areas fail. That tended to fail right as soon as everybody started, all the administrators came back. It happened the first week of August. We noticed the failure. So that's been fixed. We did a major, what was that?
Said welcome back.
Yeah.
right?
We did a major renovation on one of the soccer fields over at the high school. It's now nice and flat. We planted new grass in there. It's still marked off so that you can't use that field. So we're kind of keeping it till the very last minute. So when they have their first game, we'll pull everything down and they can use that field. We did the COIC kids. They did the grounds work inside the daycare, so they put all the irrigation in there, they planted the grass, it looks really nice in there. We installed at the middle school, we installed some lighting for the drama area, so they wanted some of that lighting to drop down so that they could get a better angle on the stage. So that lighting's, I don't know if it's completely operable yet, but it's been installed and we're just waiting to make the final connections if they haven't already done that yet.
And that's in the cafeteria.
Mhm.
Okay.
I already talked about HVAC units, the climbing wall at Barnes Butte, we installed that this summer. Paulina, we pulled all the old carpet out of the Teach Reach and put new flooring in there. We put LVP flooring in there. Transportation. We're installing a commercial washer and dryer over there in there. which is a little more extensive than just putting a washer and dryer in there. We had to like cut the concrete up and put new sewer lines in and water and power. So we're in the process of that right now. Let's see, that's it, transportation.
Oh.
Transportation was spending a lot of money to have another company do all the laundry. So
This made sense.
this project will cost a little more than what their annual cost was to do that, to have that laundry service take care of that. But once this year's gone and we've already paid for it, they'll save quite a bit. I don't know how, $3,000 or $4,000 a year, I think, in laundry fees moving forward. The middle school, we found a major leak under the floor over on that far northwest corner of the building. We fixed that, had to pull the brick out, cut a big hole in the brick and everything to get it into there.
What was the cause of the leak?
It was just a valve that had failed and they're so far back in there in the brick. The only way you can get to it is to actually tear the wall apart to fix it. And then Combs Flat, with the Combs Flat Road going in up there, they tore almost all the irrigation out up there and we had to fix that ourselves. So we did that. That took a lot of work and the COIC kids worked a lot on that to get that done. So that's pretty much what we did from like spring break until now in the facilities department.
I can't believe we still have oilers at work.
A lot of work.
Nice job.
We have a good crew. We really do have a good crew right now.
That's amazing.
Leland, this heating thing that was referred to earlier about the overheated classroom, that's not new
No,
for us. What is the ultimate solution to the heating cooling problem?
air conditioning and the mechanical air conditioning in the building. We're looking at some other things. I like evaporative cooling works well. The only problem is there's water involved. And
What's in the building anyway?
well, yeah. So we actually, I told Tom to order 5 evaporative coolers that I saw. That he went in, he found some solutions, and we're gonna buy 5 of those evaporative heater or coolers. And this season, it may be too late to use them, but we'll have them on hand, and as we go into next spring, when it starts to get hot again, we can try those out. They should be here probably next week or so we may try some of those out. We had one great big evaporative cooler that we put in the hallway at the middle school, and I didn't hear back as to how well that worked, but they had like 3 teachers and they were all kind of in the same area. So they reported that. So we put some evaporative cooling in from the hallway, so it's not actually in their classroom, to try and cool those down. I didn't hear anything bad back. So that's usually a good sign.
Yeah. That science wing is miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking from experience.
Well, and there's some other things over at the middle school that are just crazy wacky that we're working on that are gonna be probably big ticket fixes. But when with the last bond, when they went in there and put the new controls in there and stuff, there was like one area where they took 3 classrooms and they just took an average of the temperatures in the 3 classrooms, and that's what they provide all those 3 classrooms with as far as heat.
Oh,
Well, they're on opposite sides of the wall. So you've got one that's a south facing classroom and 2 of them that are north facing classrooms. So you're not getting consistent heat in there.
Right.
So we want to go in there and actually put VAV or terminal boxes in there so we can control the heat for each one of those individual rooms. And it's gonna cost a lot of money, but I think it's something I think we really need to do in order to solve that problem.
okay. It'll be interesting to see how that works.
You can't learn when it's 85 degrees
No,
in the classroom.
Oh, it's hotter than that in those classrooms. Let me tell you, when it's like in the 90s outside and it's beating down on those south walls at the science wing.
and some of those windows don't open.
Just
And
thinking,
if you're gonna spend tens of thousands of dollars on this heating system, you can spend $1.99 on deodorant sticks for the poor teacher.
Yeah.
The evaporative coolers typically don't work as well in humid conditions, right? And usually that's not a problem for us
Right.
here. I'm just thinking lately with our heat wave, it's been a little muggy, so.
It has been. That's a kind of an unusual. We'll see how well they work.
Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say is, it's not related, but it is maintenance that you guys did do, which was getting rid of some of the puncture vine around the high school, which I appreciate,
Oh.
because you were very prompt on that.
So there was,
That's my own personal vendetta against some invasives, so. Puncture vine, go ahead.
Goat heads. I went out and did a survey of that. I looked at that right there and in the process that I got over around Crooked River and the access road that comes out of Crooked River that's in front of those fields of the middle school. It, it was a forest of that stuff in there. So we took care of that at the same time too. So
We've lost the battle with kochia, but puncture vine.
it's horrible stuff.
Yeah.
I know we sprayed weeds. He sprayed 3 times this year. Sprayed twice in the spring, and then they sprayed again this summer. And then we have another guy that did some spraying. It was just little stuff, but it's a constant battle. Weeds are a constant battle.
Let's go ahead.
How are the air conditioners working at Joel and Salt?
You know, I don't know. I have no idea how well they're working.
Heard positive.
Hey. What we're about.
Any questions on projects?
I don't thank you for everything.
Yeah, I think
It's a large list that was definitely not even close to.
No, I just wanted to hit the highlights on there, because otherwise your cover sheet would have been this big.
Right?
Facilities condition assessments. So we completed the first round, the initial facilities condition assessments that we did with the architect that we hired with TAP grants that we received. So we did those 2 weeks ago, and then we did Polina and Brothers last Friday. So that part's done. ODE has hired another firm that's doing assessments for every school district in the state. They'll be out in mid-October to do the same thing essentially. So we'll have 2 assessments to review. Once we get those, then the architects, we've already talked about setting up the long-range facilities committee. So I built a timeline, a tentative timeline for what I think will happen with all of the long-range facilities committee meetings and everything else. I think we'll probably start having long-range facilities committee meetings the first part of November, end of October, somewhere in that. And I think we'll wrap them up right before spring break, which would mean that committee could make a presentation to the board at the April board meeting as to what the findings and what the long-range facilities plan looks like in April. And I'll probably have updates pretty much every month. They'll probably be really short, quick updates. So just so you know where we're at in the process.
Are we looking good going into winter? Pretty much
And well, with,
in all ways, like, are we? You feel confident that, you know what, winter is not gonna kick us this year?
no, I always feel confident and then I get beat down, but
Copy that.
okay.
All right. Thanks, Leland.
Yep.
All right, 6.0. I was gonna
Lindsay.
say, you're staying.
Yeah, I'm staying up here. So while she's coming up here, I have to brag about Lindsay a little bit. So she's so awesome. The amount of time that she saves me from not being over at transportation is amazing. And she's gone through these first 2 weeks of school really, really well. They're kind of those first couple weeks there's something. So she's gonna talk about some safety stuff that she's been working on.
Yeah, well, hello. So I wanted to discuss the improved protocols for checking on and checking off students. So we had previously tried out bus rider cards. Being new here, I'm not sure how that implementation went, but we decided to give it 100% effort at Summer Blast, and we discovered some flaws with it. And so we came to the decision that it was best to do away with the rider cards, but instead have the drivers manually enter, load and unload students on the tablet. And so it does the same exact thing, but the benefits of it is, drivers, their job, they're loading students, and then they're also trying to manage student behavior while that's happening. So these kids, they're scanning a card, but if a driver has their attention diverted and a student has scanned it without the driver being aware, and another student comes behind them and scans it, well, the driver didn't see whether that scan actually took or not. So by manually entering it in, we're assured that students are actually getting loaded and unloaded as long as the drivers are loading and pressing that button. And also it helps improve student management because they get to know the students faster. They're forced to get to know the students' names, and it helps manage, with student management rather than saying, you in the red sweatshirt, sit down, they can actually call the child by name. And it does take some time. So thankfully, all the schools, I've met with all the administrators and they were very understanding and, we're willing to work with transportation to provide staff out there to help manage students. Because as you can imagine, that loading them on is going to be a little longer. So I appreciate the schools being patient and understanding, working with us on that. And then we've got increased training for drivers. So we have increased our monthly department meeting times to include training for drivers. So I feel it's very important for drivers to understand why it is we're asking them to do the things they're doing, and then to provide them extra tools, to be able to do their job. Student management is the most difficult part of the job. As you can imagine, driving a 40-foot long vehicle full of kids, you're doing one job that requires a lot of attention. Now then you're trying to manage students. So that is a big focus of student management, but as well as other aspects of the job to ensure extra training, that they understand fully what's expected of them and how to do it. Seating charts are being implemented as well for grade schools. So we're requiring all drivers to implement seating charts for grade school kids. And with the extra addition of loading and unloading on the tablets, we've given them the entire month to get that implemented. And so we are going with a universal seating chart. So one side of the bus will be alphabet, the other side will be numerical. And that way, in the event that a bus is used for a trip or it breaks down and a spare has to be used, it's super easy. The kids just know, oh, I sit in seat D or I sit in seat, 8. And so it's a universal seating chart system with all the buses. And then it helps when there's any kind of student incident, we can quickly reference those seating charts and know which kids were involved in the incident. We're not requiring it for middle school and high school. It's used as a tool for drivers to manage student behavior. So if behavior is getting bad, they can then implement it at that point. But for right now, it's just for elementary kids. Protocols for accounting for students. So we understand with technology, it doesn't always work. So we've provided all drivers with paper copies of paper attendance sheets so that they can actually manually by hand, pen and paper, check in and out students on the bus. So if the tablet for whatever reason should fail, they still have a method of tracking students that get on and off for accountability. And then we have instructed students or drivers as well that if a student gets on their bus and they're not able to locate the student on the tablet, or if they're having to use a paper roster, to call dispatch or ask school staff to verify that the student is supposed to be on that bus on that route. Because sometimes, we're all human. A child is brought to the bus and they say they're supposed to be on this route, but they're not seeing them on the roster. And so we just want confirmation. And sometimes they are supposed to be on there. Sometimes it turns out they're supposed to be on a different bus. And then also we've instructed all drivers, if any student reports to them that they're not supposed to be on that bus, or that, they have a sibling that's supposed to be on there, but they're not on there yet, we've told drivers, stop. We'll get it sorted out. So they're to radio into dispatch or get a school staff and get the proper information to make sure the kids are where they're supposed to be. And then the last thing is color-coded tags. So with those bus rider cards came color-coded lanyards. So they made those bus rider cards requirement for kindergarten and first grade students. And then all kindergartners had a yellow lanyard with it. All first graders had a blue lanyard. Well, we still like having that additional identification for the kindergartners and first graders, since it's required that they're met by adults at the stops. And so we created color-coded tags with information to help drivers see. It's just a quick identification. Oh, that's a blue or yellow tag. They need to have an adult so they can hold them back and make sure, hey, do you see your parent here? You know, who's supposed to get you and get confirmation. So it's just an extra tool to help the drivers and keep those kindergartners and first graders safe.
When you talk about the seat numbers for the kids.
Mhm.
I haven't been on a school bus for a while, I need to go look at some. I don't remember seeing clearly marked numbers for the seating.
No, so up on the top of the bus, yes, on top of the bus, if you just go straight up, you'll see a corresponding letter or number with a seat. And so kids pick it up pretty quick, and it's, like I said, just really handy for any bus they get into, they know right away, oh, that's my seat. So
Yeah.
it's just letters that are put up on the ceiling of the bus.
Do the drivers have ability to adjust those charts based on disciplinary?
Yes, and I imagine they will be modified, yes, so.
issues?
Give them another.
Imagine the unlucky kid next to an
Right.
issue.
Yeah.
Be having
Sort of
problems.
tangential to the whole safety issue, though. I personally have lost track of fleet. It would be helpful to maybe in the board report, not a board meeting, get a report on the inventory. How many buses do we have? How many are gas? How many are diesel? How many are natural gas? How many have air conditioning? How many have Wi-Fi? If any anymore? You know, all that. Yeah, how old the fleet is. I know you've got all that in the inventory sheet.
Well, you know I love fast
I know you
facts,
do love
so
fast
that's just about perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it would be helpful to look at that, get a snapshot of the fleet.
And there's cameras on the buses.
Yes, on the buses,
Yes.
yeah.
Are there
There's
two, one in the front, one in the back, or just one?
no, there's several,
Okay.
you know, that is one thing, I would like to review. I haven't, it's on my to-do list. That I have,
On there somewhere.
yes, but just making sure, and checking the placements too, because that's really critical, but, you know, as you can imagine, just having more is better. There are plenty of times when you're pulling the video and it's kind of like, oh, I wish there was one just right
Right?
there.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and then, our explorers, don't, they're type 10, they're home to school for more like one-on-one or smaller groups of kids. Those don't have cameras, which it would be nice to have cameras installed in those.
I'd like to chime in real quick. Lindsay is doing an absolutely amazing job putting these systems in place. But my favorite thing she has done, she did not mention, and it's the positive behavior side to all of this. Tell them about bus bucks.
Yes. So, you know, everybody likes to be rewarded and recognized for good things. So I have encouraged drivers to award what we call bus bucks. And I've worked with all the administrators at the schools, the elementary schools, and they have agreed they were all on board with it. They loved it. And so they have agreed that when a child turns in a bus buck, it's not only do they get it's treated equally as their school rewards, but then they're also adding another drawing for just the bus riders. So there'll be you know, drawings from there as the kids turn them in.
I love it. Oh,
So,
very
yeah.
nice. That's a great idea. I know, that was a great idea. Basta.
Say, Lindsay, that it's hard to know what you're doing right out there, but it is not hard to know what you're doing wrong. So, and I haven't gotten a single email or seen a single Facebook blow up this year. So whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it. That has not always been my experience at the start of a school.
Well, we're trying.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Have your drivers been affected by the Barnes Butte issues as well with the coast flat? Because I know the buses get stuck in that too, so.
Surprisingly, I haven't heard quite as much. You know, it is a great group of drivers we have, and they're there and they want to get the kids to school, get them home. And so I think they're taking it in stride, so. I haven't-
What's the issue? Roundabout too small?
There's no roundabout.
Well, there isn't.
It's just that they opened that road now, so everybody
Right.
is on it.
I was thinking that there's a round.
Or they're,
Yeah.
So,
But there's no stop signs or anything, so it's just
Right.
nonstop traffic. And so I have heard some rumblings, but like I said, they're just kind
imagine
of,
most
they're
people
dealing
give
with it.
the buses a little bit of a grace and let them through
Well,
faster, but.
First day of school, there was a lot of issues. And then Jeff Kaufman, our SRO, called me and we went up there and looked at it on Thursday. And it looked like, for the most part, the situation had kind of cleared up. That first day of school, there were so many parents that brought their kids to school that the buses couldn't get turned in. And then nobody would let the buses in. Now traffic's backed up and it backed up clear down the hill.
oh no.
So there's a way to solve that with a crossing guard. So Jeff and I both talked about that and we may talk to Nick. I haven't talked to Nick about it yet, but we may talk to Nick about putting another crossing guard there to make sure that the buses that they stop traffic so that the buses can make the turn in without having an issue.
Also too, I will add, for first couple weeks of school is always, you want to wait till towards the end of the second week, and that gives you a little more realistic picture of how things are gonna be. Because that first week you got that influx of parents wanting to take their kids that first day and first week, so. I was planning on asking my drivers at the end of this week how that's going, because things do tend to settle down at that point.
Now the kids are on,
Yes.
After that first day, it's like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you know where it is.
yeah, you can get there.
So this was a clear, board goal 3.7, so implement a clear safety procedure. So we're on right track with Lindsay as they lend it their help, so very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hmm. 6.7.
Hello, good evening. Right, so I'm here this evening to give you a integrated guidance report. This is required from ODE. It's our annual report on spending from the prior school year, so the 24-25 year. And this is on the student investment accounts. So the 4 areas that we're spending that money in, reducing class sizes, well-rounded education, instructional time, and health and safety. And then the metrics that ODE is looking at for growth are kind of your standard metrics we look at, right? Like graduation rate, 9th grade on track, 3rd grade, reading proficiency, regular attender rates, and other applicable metrics. So you'll see that Crook County School District allocation is just over $3 million. And on the next slide, you can see where the spending is taking place. So again, this report is given to you annually. There's not huge adjustments from last year and where the dollars were spent. It's worth noting that nearly 200 grand goes to Powell Butte Community Charter. And then a lot of this money is spent around staffing. Questions so far? Okay.
And it looks like in your packets, the slide up here, for some reason it didn't show up in your packet, so what the actual expenditures are.
Okay,
History
thank you. I was like, what, like,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, keep moving. So the next slide has to do with our outcomes. So as we looked through our data and reported on this, we noticed our strong and continued stable graduation rates and freshman on track rates. I think those are built into systems and staffing that year over year we have continued to support. Slight improvement in our regular attender rates, which you guys know I care a lot about. Engage students with the CC Connect. So our clubs, as we saw tonight with the Dungeons and Dragons, so getting something for every kid to be involved in. And then counseling staffing this year, we're really excited about all the counselors we have. Areas of growth, ELA and math intervention, and then continued emphasis on improving those regular attender rates as we look at the metrics that ODE gives us to look at tied to these dollars. And as I was doing this report again, it was, last year's numbers and things that we're looking at, and I was just so excited about the growth that I think we're going to have in this coming year, as we think I included the visions and values icon there, because so many of these board goals that you all have set will really move the dial, I believe, in a lot of these areas. So I'm excited for that work and just to continue getting all of our students engaged in that well-rounded education experience and improving academics across grade levels. Any questions?
I know. Gentlemen,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you, Bree. The time we've all been waiting for. Policy updates. 7.1, we're gonna start with Miss Anna.
Policy DJ is being brought back to you. You looked at it at the last monthly board meeting, and there was some questions, and so we've attempted to address those questions in the handout. And we're proposing one minor revision that's in bright yellow, where we're striking the word "or" at the very bottom and adding 4 other district events to address Eric Osborne's question about the example that he gave about the water bottle with track meet. That would basically cover everything, literally everything. Everything related to anything district.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that was the only thing that was a question at that point in time, that we weren't sure if that would encompass it or not. So then we added this part.
There were some other questions that the school board had, and there's a handout in your packet that kind of address
Right, okay.
those other questions. I think they were related to what are other districts doing? Did we get input from OSBA?
New school board.
etc. So that's the and you didn't say
The memo, Melinda put together a memo that the board got.
Okay. That wasn't in the.
Oh, sorry.
But I'd be happy to make the copies for everybody. Sorry, no, that's. Sorry about misunderstanding that. No.
Are we ready to adopt? I'm happy with it now. Well,
Well, it's all about you.
happy enough to accept it. but Give steps. Move to
And there
adopt.
was one that last month I had recused myself because of the possible.
Are we doing that?
You want me to read my script?
Yes,
Please?
yes. Out of an abundance of transparency.
Absolutely.
Please hold.
Okay. I'd like to note that my spouse is an employee at CCHS in accordance with ORS chapter 244 and for policy EBFB. I have a potential conflict of interest and will be recusing myself from both the discussion and vote on this item. While a class exemption may apply, I am choosing to recuse myself to avoid any occurrence of conflict of interest.
Thank you. Mr. Cooper? Back to
Move to adopt policy DJ.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table to adopt policy DJ and a second. And also with Kelsey recusing herself of any discussion or vote on this one. Do we have further discussion?
No.
Okay, let's vote. Scott?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
And yes as well for me, so we're just. Okay. Oh, boy, okay, JFCEB is what we have next. Dr. Hall?
Yeah, I would first like to note on the draft copy, the big red right that says this is the OSBA proposed draft. So as promised, OSBA has provided some model language based off the governor's executive order that we discussed briefly. If you notice the cover sheet on this, we did provide impact notice on the impact to students as well as the impact to staff of the governor's executive order. K-8, like we've talked about, this will have minimum impact on both staff and students, as this essentially aligns with off and away all day. Where we're seeing the big rub on this is at our high school level, where we currently 100% prioritizing no cell phones in the classroom. We want students fully focused on instruction. Currently, what we allow at the high school is during passing periods and lunchtime. Students can have their phones and check messages from their folks, from work. We know that a lot of our students, babysit or have work schedules. So this would have a substantial impact on the high school staff for one, which would be kind of the monitoring, the enforcement of whatever comes along with this policy. And then number two, an impact on students where not being able to maybe get work schedules or get that communication, where we would have to develop a system where we're getting more messages to students throughout the day that might or most certainly will have an increased impact on front office staff. So again, this is the OSBA proposed draft, big red letters. With that, I see Mr. Cooper is ready. And before I turn it over to Mr. Cooper, the timeline of all of this, and this is just based off the executive order, would be policy adoption by October 31st, and then implementation by January 1 is what the state has said is their implementation plan. With that, opening it up to board discussion and thoughts.
Thought I was. Okay, we're ready.
Well, I have quite a bit to say about this.
Does anybody else have anything? First,
Somebody else wants to go.
no, I thought, just,
Here's the deal.
okay.
First of all, this is deeply, deeply personal. December 6th, 2023. A shooter opened fire on students at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where my daughter was attending, in the building next door. When you get a text from your kid that says, "I'm so scared I'm gonna die," and you spend the next 4 hours talking to your kid back and forth, knowing every text you send, it might be the last one, you have a few feelings about staying in touch with your kids. Yes, the legislature went through and debated whether or not to adopt this policy. And the legislature decided not to adopt it because there was so much controversy in the hearings, they couldn't come to agreement. So they left town without adopting it. And then along comes the governor, who has no children in a school, by the way. And in her eminent wisdom, in her role as the superintendent of public instruction, she says, we have to have this policy. Because none of her kids are ever gonna reach out to her to tell her, things are terrible and they're happening here. I think the OSBA policy as it is written is overwritten. I don't think it meets the minimum requirement of what the law requires. I think it goes considerably beyond that. I think the governor exceeded her own authority in adopting some specific procedural requirements that are not required under the statute. And I think we can write, and we have to write a policy because we have to comply. I don't care about her deadline of October 31st. What's she gonna do? Pull all her public funding? I don't think so. So I think we ought to back up and we ought to write a policy that is absolutely minimally compliant, enough to get through the screen, but no more than what we have to do. I do believe that kids ought to not have ready access to their phone during time when they're supposed to be paying attention. That's clear. We tried to do that with the
But that's
policy.
happening already.
So, well, exactly. So I think we try to write a policy that does that. And I don't mind continuing to write policy that would do that. But at the same time, I don't want that phone to not be nearby in a backpack or something in case the worst happens. So I would propose we do not adopt this tonight, but we back up and keep working on it. We haven't had a policy committee meeting yet. But I think we can work through a draft there and we can come up with something that minimally complies. It will not make the governor happy. And I don't much care whether she's happy, but it will be compliant with the law.
Agreed.
What staff can do is work on a minimally compliant policy and bring that to the board. And we also have the policy committee that's starting to go in October as well. So we definitely can hit those targets. Any other insight from other board members? Scott? Well, thank you for sharing it. It
Yeah.
really illustrates the real practical and why this is important. So thank you.
And I think as a parent, I think we can all agree with that. wholeheartedly,
Most awful 4 hours of my life.
right?
So without any other insight, district staff with the policy committee, will bring something back, to the board at our October meeting.
And I feel bad for giving you a hard time, thanks. Appreciate that. It's awesome. Okay. Moving on. That takes care of it all, right? Okay. Not part. Let's just turn pages left and right over here and make a quick note. Okay, oh, it's all me. 8.0 upcoming dates. We have the school board meeting out in Paulina, October 13th. School board policy committee meeting, October 20th at the district office. No school for grades K-8, conference October 23rd. No school for grades K-12, conferences October 24th. We have the OSBA annual convention from November 6th through the 8th. Moving on to public comments. If you wish to make a public comment, please complete a comment card prior to the start of public comments. If you're viewing online, please indicate that you would like to speak in the comment section. When you're recognized, please state your name and any group you're representing. Keep your comments to no more than 4 minutes. A bell will chime when 30 seconds are remaining, and another bell will chime when 4 minutes have ended. A group of visitors with a common purpose should designate a spokesperson for the group. If you wish to request that the board consider an agenda item, please contact the superintendent at least 1 week prior to the next board meeting. Per policy BDDH, the board will not hear comments regarding any individual district staff member. And if you have a complaint about a specific staff member, please contact the superintendent or the board chair. At this time, do we have any public comments?
Nope, we haven't received any.
And Eric, anything online? Okay, we are going.
1 second.
Oh.
Can we back up to those upcoming dates? I
Yes.
don't know if you all have made plans to go to the OSBA conference or not, but I will tell you that is a very rich and useful conference. And if you haven't, I hope you'll think maybe about doing that. Talk to Tammy, because they'll house you and register you and all that sort of thing. But the keynotes are always excellent. The speaker or that opportunity to meet with your peers at the regional roundtable is really instructive. And then some of the breakout sessions can be really educational as well.
I went to the summer one and it was really good. I really enjoyed that one. So I can imagine what this one is, because you usually attend this one. Yeah, okay. Thank you for that, Scott. Okay, we're gonna adjourn this meeting at 8:26. Thank you all.